Have you ever wondered if the world you see, the problems, the conflicts, the worries, might not be the whole picture? Imagine discovering that much of what feels so heavy is not permanent, not absolute, not even ultimately real. What if there is something beneath all of it? Something steady, eternal, and untouched by fear that has been quietly holding you all along. That unshakable presence is what we'll explore today. We're going to look at the difference between what fades and what lasts, between illusions and truth, between fear and love. And we'll see how forgiveness becomes the gentle key that unlocks the door to peace. This isn't philosophy for the shelves. It's something you can live, breathe, and practice in your everyday life. Life feels unstable sometimes, doesn't it? One moment you're happy and everything seems fine. The next, you feel anxious, angry, or insecure. One day, you're full of energy, and the next you feel drained. We ride this wave of ups and downs, believing that our peace depends on circumstances outside of us, on people treating us a certain way, on situations going according to plan, on our health, our finances, our reputation. But what if that isn't true? What if beneath all the changes there's a deeper foundation, a presence of love that cannot be shaken, no matter what happens on the surface? Call it God, call it truth, call it love. It doesn't matter the word. What matters is that it's real, and it's available to us right now. In this journey, we'll move step by step. First, exploring the difference between reality and perception. Then, seeing how the mind creates the world we think we see. Next, understanding how forgiveness shifts our lens and restores peace. Finally, learning how this higher vision transforms our relationships, our use of the body, and the way we experience life itself. Along the way, we'll pause for reflection, and I'll share simple metaphors and stories to make these ideas clear. Reality, what is eternal, never changes. It is love itself, whole and complete. It doesn't come and go. It doesn't depend on opinion. It doesn't shift with time. It simply is. That's truth. Perception, however, is what we usually live in. It's not steady. It's made of interpretations. Our eyes and ears gather information, but then our mind filters it through the past, through fear, through desire, through expectation. That filter decides what we notice, what we ignore, and what meaning we assign. This explains why two people can walk through the same day and experience it so differently. One sees kindness everywhere. Another sees only hostility. One feels supported. Another feels abandoned. The world outside is the same, but their perception is different. Perception is like looking through tinted glasses. The glasses might be red, and suddenly everything you see has a reddish glow. You may even forget the glasses are there and assume the whole world is truly that color. But it's not. The lens is just altering your view. Let's bring this to life with an image. Imagine a child walking down a hallway at night. They see a large, frightening shadow on the wall. Their heart races. They're sure a monster is lurking. But when a light is turned on, the shadow is revealed to be nothing more than a jacket hanging on a chair. The shadow felt real in the dark. The fear was intense. But once light was introduced, the truth was obvious. There was never a monster. This is what perception often does. It casts shadows shaped by our own fears, memories, and judgments. The shadows look real, but they're not the truth. The truth remains what it always was, untouched by the shapes on the wall. Think of a time when you were convinced something terrible was happening, only to later realize it wasn't what you thought. Maybe you assumed someone was angry at you when really they were just tired. Maybe you imagined rejection when actually the other person was distracted. The mind is quick to create monsters out of jackets, shadows out of nothing. So today, when fear rises, you can pause and ask, is this the shadow or the truth? That small question opens space for peace to enter. If perception isn't truth, why does it feel so convincing? The world we see is shaped by what we project. Our inner state, our thoughts, fears, and beliefs gets reflected back to us. If we carry anger inside, we see a hostile world. If we carry love, we see kindness everywhere. Projection makes perception. We first decide within ourselves what we expect, and then we paint the outside world to match. That's why one person sees life as a battlefield, while another sees it as a classroom. The outer picture follows the inner choice. But here's the problem. When we see pain and conflict outside, we forget that it came from within. We treat it as though it's happening to us instead of through us. That keeps us trapped. Let me give you a picture of how this works. Think of an old-fashioned movie projector. The film reel sits inside the machine and the light shines through it, casting moving images on the wall. If the film has scratches or dust, the image on the screen looks damaged. If the reel is beautiful and clear, the screen shows that. Now imagine blaming the wall for the scratches. That wouldn't make sense. The wall is just reflecting what's in the projector. Our mind is like the projector and the world is like the wall. What we see out there is really a projection of what's inside. If we want a different picture, we don't fix the wall. We clean the reel. You can try this. The next time someone upsets you, instead of saying, they ruined my peace, pause and ask, what am I projecting right now? Maybe it's fear of being unloved. Maybe it's anger you've been holding. Recognizing projection doesn't make you guilty. It makes you free. Because once you see the projector, you have the power to change the film. If projection shapes our perception, then how do we change the film? The answer is forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing harmful actions or saying they're okay. It means we stop believing the shadow is the monster. We stop confusing the projection with the truth. Forgiveness says, I will no longer hold this mistake against you or against myself, because it does not define who we truly are. This kind of forgiveness is not about being charitable or better than someone. It's about seeing clearly. It's about realizing that behind all mistakes is the same shared innocence, the same light of God, the same presence of love. Imagine you're listening to a song on the radio, but the station is fuzzy. You hear the words wrong, and you think the lyrics are saying something offensive. You feel upset. Later, someone plays the song again, this time crystal clear, and you realize the lyrics were kind and uplifting all along. That's how forgiveness works. It clears the static. It lets us hear the true melody again. Think of someone you've struggled to forgive. Ask yourself, am I hearing their life through static? Am I seeing them through a distorted lens? You don't have to force forgiveness. Simply hold the willingness to see them differently. Even a little willingness is enough for light to begin breaking through. Nowhere is this more powerful than in our relationships. Most of the time, we treat relationships like bargains. We want others to meet our needs, to make us feel complete. We love so long as they give us what we want. When they stop, we feel betrayed. But that's not real love. It's a trade. Real love doesn't ask to be filled because it knows it already is whole. Real love flows out, it shares, it extends. When we give our relationships to love, to God, they become classrooms of healing. Every irritation becomes a chance to forgive. Every misunderstanding becomes an opportunity to look past the surface and remember the truth. There's an old story of a water carrier who carried 2 pots every day. One pot was perfect, the other had a crack. The cracked pot leaked water all along the path, and it felt ashamed. But one day the carrier said, "Have you noticed the flowers blooming along your side of the path? I planted seeds, and your crack watered them every day. Without you, there would be no flowers." What looked like weakness was actually a gift. Relationships work like this too. What frustrates us in others often becomes the very place where love can grow. Think of someone close to you. Instead of focusing on their crack, ask, What flowers might be blooming here? What gift might their imperfection be offering me? That shift is forgiveness at work. Forgiveness also changes how we see the body. The body seems to run on its own. It gets tired, sick, or excited. But in truth, the body is neutral. Its purpose comes from the mind. The mind can use it as a weapon to attack, to defend, to separate, or the mind can use it as an instrument of love, to communicate, to comfort, to connect. When the body is given to fear, it wears out quickly. When it's given to love, it becomes a channel of peace, lasting as long as it's needed. Think of a paintbrush. On its own, it has no meaning, but in the hands of one person, it can spread anger or destruction. In the hands of another, it can create beauty that uplifts countless lives. The paintbrush didn't decide its purpose. The artist did. Our body is the same. It's a brush, and the mind is the artist. Ask yourself, how am I using my paintbrush today? Am I painting with fear or with love? And so we come to the highest shift, learning to see, not with the body's eyes, but with a higher vision. This vision looks past the surface. It doesn't see enemies. It sees calls for love. It doesn't see sins. It sees mistakes ready to be corrected. It doesn't see division. It sees unity shining through. This vision is God's gift. It's love's way of reminding us that we're not separate, not guilty, not broken. Have you ever looked at those pictures that at first just look like random dots, but when you soften your gaze, a hidden image appears? At first it seems like nothing, then suddenly you see it. That's what higher vision is like. The picture hasn't changed. What changed is the way you looked. Who in your life have you only been seeing as dots, as flaws, mistakes, or irritations? Can you soften your gaze enough to see the hidden image, the light of love beneath their surface? So here's what we've discovered today. Reality is eternal love. Perception is a shifting lens. Projection creates the world we think we see. Forgiveness clears the lens and restores peace. Relationships and the body, when given to love, become classrooms and instruments of healing. Higher vision lets us see past illusions to the truth beneath. This is not abstract, it's practical, it's the way to freedom. So take this with you. Notice the shadows, but don't confuse them with monsters. Look at the movie reel in your mind, not the wall. Use your body as a paintbrush for love, and above all, forgive. For in forgiveness, you remember what has always been true, that you are whole, safe, and forever loved. If this journey touched you, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep growing together in love and freedom. Until next time, love and freedom.